It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
It has been a while since machetes have made their way into a story, but you will love that machetes are back in this initial offering of Friday Fabulous Florida. A naked Florida man chopped off another man's hand with a machete, then told cops, "He's dead. I tried to kill him." Police in Miami Gardens discovered the victim around 4 a.m. with a severed hand and profusely bleeding. He was bleeding from his head.
Yikes.
He called 911. The blood-covered machete was found nearby. Witnesses told cops that they saw this guy sprinting from the grisly scene completely naked around the time of the attack. There he is.
Oh.
He, again, is 54-year-old Tyrone Arthur Ryant. And on the Mark Thompson show booking photo meter, he's rocking what, Kim? No, tough one.
I mean, I'm not gauging this one on the basis of attractiveness, but on the basis of does he look like a guy who could attack someone with a machete? And the eyes looking upward, like he just has a look of anger about him. I'm going to give him a 7.
A 7 from Kim, but I am,
Kim, how are you?
Albert, I'm going to provisionally, I would almost yellow card Kim. She has received a warning before.
Why?
You are to evaluate the Mark Thompson show booking photo meter is to be used in the evaluation of booking photos independent of the offense. I'm reading it right here from the bylaws of the show. Independent of the offense, it says. Yet you always do this, Kim.
Well,
you say, well, I'm trying to figure out, is he a guy who would use a machete?
Why are you yelling?
Because Kim is supposed to evaluate, and I defer to her. And now I'm going to have to defer to Albert on these things.
Well, a yellow card has been issued. The earrings on the left ear, very strong look, by the way. I love that.
I agree. I'm starting to,
Albert, thank you.
By the way, I think the 7 rating that Kim came up with, I actually agree with, but I don't agree with how she got it, how she got there.
what does it matter how I got there then?
It matters because again, you're so, I don't want to derail our segment with this discussion. We're going to take this up after the show.
Too late. No, it's too late.
I
You've gone there, you've done this, you've thrown down a yellow card at me, and now I deserve an explanation.
I just gave you the explanation, Kim, and I'll explain it again. You
I
are
feel
to evaluate the
ridiculous.
picture. We're trying to assign a numerical value based on the booking photo independent of the offense, is the actual wording in the bylaws of the show. Independent of the offense. That means you don't pay attention to the offense. You want to give that guy a 7? Great. He looks dangerous. He looks weird. You want to give him point for the earring, however you want to do it. Albert, what would you give him on this?
Give him a 7.
Yeah, I think a 7 is the right. So you came up
everyone
with the
gives
right
a 7,
number.
but I'm penalized for the way in which I've come up with my 7?
Yes, you are, because you got there the wrong way.
All I can say is I'm glad it's Friday. That's all I'm saying.
54-year-old Tyrone Arthur Ryant.
I blame you.
Tyrone Arthur Ryant was found lounging on a sofa not far away after the victim described him. And there is no motive. This guy is bad news. There's already a restraining order out around him, and he clearly is deserving of, at minimum, a restraining order. A Florida woman calls 911 on herself during an attempted carjacking so she could, quote, do it legally. Christy Turman, 37. She called the Lee County Sheriff's Office because she wanted authorities to know that she's trying to steal a car that's not legally mine, she said.
I think we have found our winner. Yeah.
So y'all better come make a report. I'm reporting this, she's saying. Wow. There's a lot going on with her. Deputies arrived at the dealership where they were selling Toyotas.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
And they found her exiting the driver's side of the stolen Toyota Corolla. There you see her. This is, again, and for those who wonder why we wouldn't evaluate, and the booking photo is the only thing we evaluate. We don't evaluate a perp walk like this. When someone is caught like this, we don't evaluate. So there's no numerical value. Deputies arrived at the dealership a short time after the call. They found her exiting the driver's side of the Toyota Corolla, and the 37-year-old said that she was being trained in a game of black ops to steal a car, but called the authorities to make her carjacking legal. You know, she wanted to let them know, I'm not really stealing the car. This is all just part of a black ops training that I'm involved in. She was arrested, and she is facing charges.
What was she on? She had to have been on something.
Well,
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
No, it's something more than alcohol. I agree with Kim. Yeah. A Florida man finds himself in jail after he tells cops his name is Mr. Monopoly. This is during the arrest, and when we show you the picture, you'll see that he does kind of look like Mr. Monopoly. I got to give it to him a little bit. His real name is Ryan Howard, and he was taken into custody, and there he is. He's charged with criminal mischief and resisting arrest. The 33-year-old caught allegedly using spray paint on the sound barrier wall along 54th Avenue South in St. Petersburg. Cops were able to find him since he matched the description from several witnesses who said they saw him using black spray paint on that wall. Police spoke to him and asked him for his name. He didn't respond. After a few attempts at trying to get his name, he said, "My name is Mr. Monopoly." After checking his driver's license, the cops were able to verify that his actual legal name is not Mr. Monopoly.
What?
Yeah, it's not, believe it or not. He
I'm
was
getting
transported
more of the Pringles vibe, the Pringles guy vibe from him than with the
Oh,
mustache.
I
don't
think I remember what the Pringles guys look like. Let me
I might have to just look it up. Yeah.
Pringles guy. Let me
Heather
look.
says it's a 9.
I agree. Very strong. We haven't assigned a numerical value yet. We will. Yeah. I see the Pringles guy. The Pringles guy and the Monopoly guy, very similar. But I must tell you, Monopoly guy, very, very. The Pringles guy and Monopoly guy are almost the same guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
agree. Yeah.
He needs a monocle. The show everybody that. So we just showed you the Pringles guy. Can you put up the Monopoly guy real quick?
Yeah, let me. Yeah.
The Monopoly guy is basically the same guy, but he's got a top hat and the mustache is gray. I think Albert is right because the Monopoly guy's mustache is gray. This guy, he might be closer to the Pringles guy because he doesn't have the gray mustache. He does have. I love this guy. He has. This may be. I might give him a 10 on the booking photo scale.
I love that he smiled for the booking photo.
Yeah,
he's got a little smirk.
And it's not right. Kim's right. It's not a huge smile. It's just a bit of a
just
smile.
A little. Yeah.
There it is. There is a Monopoly guy. For those who are just listening or not seeing, he's wearing a full kind of tux outfit, and he's doing a dance with a cane and a top hat. And he has a gray, I think, one or the other. It's very close. But I'm going to give him a 9.5.
Wow,
on the
that's really high.
booking photo meter. Yeah. And Albert, what would you say?
It's pretty high up there, just because he was a little off with the description. Just and the smirk, I like. It's a strong 8. It has to
A
be.
strong 8.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And Kim, of course, is accepted. She's no longer, for the rest of the segment, allowed to
That's
offer
really incredibly
a
rude.
numerical value because of the
That's
violation.
fine.
She doesn't
Yeah.
get the bylaws. She doesn't get. We send them to her in PDF form. We send her hard copies. She still probably hasn't even looked at them. A Florida man's colon explodes.
Oh, God.
After coughing and sneezing at the same time.
What?
No,
It
that
happened
can't
in a-
happen.
It happened in a diner, Kim. It's true. It caused his intestines to fall out of his body.
What?
This sounds like an urban legend.
Yes.
The science is ridiculous.
Well, it's not. It may be ridiculous, but here's the
That's not fake.
Yeah,
That's real.
Dr. Fauci gets. And a man was eating breakfast with his wife when a cough and sneeze hit him at the same time, left him with what is admittedly a freak injury. The Florida native's colon exploded, causing his intestines to fall out of his body.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah. The 63-year-old noticed a wet sensation following a sharp pain. And when he lifted his shirt, he saw several inches of bowel were sticking out of his surgical wound. I see. He had a surgery. He had abdominal surgery. That's the extenuating circumstance. So those of you who are worried that this is going to just kind of happen to you, you don't need to worry about that. This is following a surgery. He had this surgery. The incision, he says, was well healed, but his wife called an ambulance. Again, finally, a good reason to get married. You have somebody to call the ambulance when your bowel explodes outside your body.
How do you think that call went, Mark? Yeah, my husband's colon has just been expelled from his body.
Yeah.
Please send some help.
Please send somebody over here because I'm not going to be here when you arrive. Just let yourself in.
Did he live?
He was immediately rushed to the hospital. Surgeons were able to successfully return his bowel into his abdomen, Kim.
Thank
So
God.
all's well that ends well. After recovering in the hospital for 6 days, he was sent home, and he received no additional need for, there was no additional need, I should say, for any medical attention further on this issue. There were no further complications. His case, if you want to read more about it, and Kim, it seems to me like you might want to read more about it.
I do. I'm quite interested.
Yes, it's detailed in the American Journal of Medical Case Reports.
Okay.
We go to Martin County, Florida, where a man intentionally drives into jail, dropping several rubber snakes. It happened earlier this week at the Martin County Jail in Martin County. It's a great place for the Martin County Jail to be located, right there in Martin County, southeastern Florida. The sheriff's office says that Joseph Leedy, he's 40 years old, drove across the parking lot, across the entrance walkway, and he drove into the front of the jail's lobby.
Wow.
He then poured motor oil on the lobby floor, said he wanted to set it on fire. He threatened to, quote, kill everyone, while also throwing rubber snakes onto the floor. The deputies said, because I know you're thinking, wow, that's pretty much everything one could possibly do. What more could he do? Well, you'll appreciate this. The most Florida thing of all, deputies say he has no pants on when the whole thing happens.
Yeah. Little
And
nudity
he's
thrown in.
wearing a woman's blouse.
It looks more like if that's supposed to be the blouse, it looks like a hospital gown.
You're right. It does look like a hospital gown. He was not able to get through the steel security doors of the jail. He was arrested and booked into jail. 4 counts of aggravated assault and criminal mischief. A Florida man jumps into a pond to avoid arrest after leading deputies on what was a 100-mile-an-hour chase. It's Tampa, Florida. He's evading arrest. He takes them on this wild chase. And deputies respond to the area of Davis Boulevard and Countryside Drive there in Collier County. He fled across a community golf course after stealing golf equipment. Jeffrey Treffy, 46 years old, of Naples, he was chased by the cops. We have some video of it now, and you can see the wild. Look at him driving wildly, but it was the culmination of this chase that really got everybody's attention, because the jumping into the pond was the key move where he tried to elude capture, but you can see him there being pulled out of the pond. And
I mean, those poor cops. I bet they didn't realize when they went to work that morning that they'd be, going for a little swim. in the
Well,
pond.
it is Florida. It could happen on any day.
I guess so. Yeah.
So Treffy is in police custody. A Florida man is arrested for smacking an officer
Uh-oh.
with a Stanley Cup. Not only that, he did it after he broke into church. He broke into church using a sledgehammer and caused over $10,000 in damages, which is really...
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Yeah. After the cops put you in custody, Timothy Bornman, the Lord would like a word with you. He's Timothy Bornman. You see him there, 24 years old. On the booking photo scale or meter, this is tough. I'm going to give him, I think it's a pretty solid picture, to be honest. He looks like he was in a scuffle. He looks like, well, he looks like every manner of substance was in his body at one point or another, maybe during this whole thing.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to give him a 5 or a 6. I'll give him a 6. How about you, Albert?
I agree. It's just the classic Florida man look that he has. So
Yes, thank you.
it's
Classic.
like a
Albert,
classic
thank you.
average.
Right. Yeah.
So 5, probably like a 5.
All right, we'll give him a 5. It happened after he had broken into the Mission Church in Palm Bay. Officers responding to find him, Timothy Bornman, as you see him there, holding a metal Stanley Cup in his hand. He was yelling and cussing at members of the church. As the officers approached, he said, "I'm going to F you up."
Oh.
And then he started to walk away, at which point the officer pulled out his taser and told Borman to get on the ground and stop walking away. Borman then took a seat before bouncing back up, walking aggressively toward the second officer. And he tried to strike him with his Stanley Cup. The officer was able to dodge the cup, but it still hit him in the shoulder. He then tried to run.
Was the cup full of vodka or some type of substance?
Doesn't say, but that is a good question.
Yeah.
The first officer tased him, incapacitated him, put him in cuffs, and he was headed back to the station. And with that, we conclude Friday Fabulous Florida, but not before we vote on a favorite. It's like picking between children. They're all so special. It's hard to do, but the bylaws of this program require us to pick a favorite. I'll remind you of what you've just heard. The naked Florida man chops off a victim's hand with a machete, tells cops, "I tried to kill him." Florida woman called 911 on herself during an attempted carjacking so she could, quote, do it legally. It was part of a, quote, training exercise she was involved in. A Florida man allegedly claiming to be Mr. Monopoly during his arrest. And a Florida man's colon exploding after coughing and sneezing at the same time caused his intestines to fall out of his body. A Florida man intentionally drove into jail. He dropped several rubber snakes after spreading oil all over the floor. A Florida man jumps in the pond to avoid arrest after taking deputies on a 100-mile-an-hour chase. And a Florida man who broke into a church. Is there anything lower? Smacking an officer with a Stanley Cup after breaking into a church. What is your favorite? We will start with you, Kim.
Oh, I can play now? Wow.
You can
Okay.
play this.
Oh. I'm going to agree
Kim,
with
how are you?
John. Nudity and fake snakes, we have another winner. Yeah. Yeah. I'll have all of the entries were really strong this week, though. I have to say it was a hard choice, but
Yes, Albert has really outdone himself. And we go to Albert now for your favorite, please, Albert.
I mean, anytime there's a machete involved, it's like an automatic vote for me. So, and it's been a while. So the naked machete man, probably bad story, terrible story, not a good outcome, but just in terms of
for just the presence of machete, you give it to. All right, I get it. And I too love the naked, love the mayhem, love the machete. Although hate, whenever there's a machete, there's always the possibility of what happening. I love that that's part of Friday Fabulous Florida this week. But I'm going to break with tradition, and I'm going to designate my favorite as Mr. Monopoly. I don't know why. It just hits me. I love Mr. Monopoly. I love that story. I love how he looks. I loved his booking photo. I just loved everything about it. In the chat, Albert, what was the fan favorite?
The woman who called the cops on herself.
Is that right?
Yeah. We also have a special vote from Michael Shore, who's actually standing by. He has a hard out time at 25, Mark, by the way. When anytime a Stanley Cup is involved, it gets my vote, which is, he's a hockey fan. That's not Lord Stanley. That is the Stanley Cup that you could get that every normal, average human has to put their water in. But yeah.
That's right. That's absolutely right. But when I saw Stanley Cup, I actually thought of Michael Shore, too, so I'm not surprised you went for that. That is Friday, Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday, Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.